Hi, and welcome to Reality Realness with 3 S's. The show where we spill the dirt, we spill the tea, we talk everything about Canada's Drag Race. We're going to be talking about episode 5, Snatch Game. The show where we talk. So, my name is Michael Pez. I'm one of your hosts, and right beside us, the most beautiful lady ever.
Who's the most beautiful lady ever?
I'm introducing.
I'm Chantele Francis.
And down here, the power bottom down here. I'm just joking.
Well, you're not wrong. Jojo O'Toole.
And our special guest, Tay Bobo.
Hey, Miss Bobo.
So if you want to like or subscribe to us, you can always push that little button down there, ring the bell, because we are going to be talking about Canada's Drag Race the whole season. So tune in, follow along, and let's do that.
Let's do it. Hi, Tay. How are you today? Looking gorgeous. Thank you for coming.
Look at those long legs. Yes.
Always
How's your quarantine going?
How's my quarantine doing?
Yeah.
I think that says it all.
Okay, gotcha. So Tay, tell us about yourself. How long have you been doing drag?
Okay, so I am Tay Bobo. I am the daughter of the Canadian icon herself, Scarlett Bobo. I've been doing drag for about 2 years. I think I just passed 2 in June. So I've been doing this for what feels like a hot minute.
Well,
do you still feel like a baby queen? Or you weathered? Have you weathered the storm?
Sometimes, I mean, I only feel new when I'm around like much more established queens, and then they're always like, "Oh, you're still new," and I'm like, "Oh, right." But then like you see like the little goobers, and you're like, "Oh, but I'm like
they're new,
older than you, but younger than you." It's weird. I'm a middle child at this point, basically.
There you go.
Gotcha. So tell us about because I'm like really curious about the whole like how a drag queen becomes a mom, and like how Scarlett became your mom, because that's a really good thing.
Well, before I ever started drag, I was a fan of drag itself. So I started, watching RuPaul's Drag Race, and then eventually that led to me seeing the local girls. So like I think one of the first shows we ever saw was when Willem came here, and she did Fly 2.0, RIP. But Scarlett was actually one of the opening acts, and she did her whole fire swallowing routine. And I was like, who is this bitch? I like her now, Jesus. So I started going to her shows, and I would usually go on Monday nights at Garage, which was Mask for Mascara with Scarlett and Juicebox. And I'd go every week, and then they kind of figured out that I wanted to do drag, and I started like kind of coming out to their shows, and Scarlett was like, "Girl, if you ever want to do a number, just come and do it here." And so I started doing numbers at all of Scarlett's shows. And after a little while, she goes, we kind of had this moment of being like, wouldn't it be funny if like I was like your drag daughter? And she was like, I was thinking that too. And she was like, but I'm scared. I don't want to be a bad mom. And I was like.
So then what kind of things are you swallowing on stage then?
She is braver than me. She will. I have seen her walk out onto the tables at Cruise and Tangos that are like in front of the stage that barely hold a drink, and I'm like, oh my God, it's just a good thing that she's like 5'2" or like I can't even. She's like this big. Yeah. But no, the most I will do is swallow a tequila shot.
Me too. We get along just fine. Just fine. So obviously you've been watching Canada's Drag Race. Did you have an opportunity to maybe audition? Were you considering it? And would you audition in the future?
I mean, in theory, I would have had an opportunity to audition if I wanted to do it. But I felt at the time that the auditions were going on, this would have been around Pride last year, I think, when everybody was doing their auditions. So, you know, I didn't feel ready because it's a lot to even consider doing Drag Race. There's so much that you have to think about because, first of all, it's incredibly expensive, like ridiculously expensive. Some girls have to take out loans just to get their wardrobe for the season. And then I had to consider, would I even be good at this? Because I don't know if I'm going to be able to excel at, you know, the Snatch game and the acting challenges this soon in my career. So I was like, no, I wanted to see how the first season plays out. And I think that there were so many more deserving queens to be on that first season. Like, we had to get, you know, my mother and Ty Nomi on there first before worrying about the rest of us.
Do you think you have the like the competitive drive for the show? Like, are you a competitive person?
I'm a typical Aries, so yes, I have been known to get mad while playing bowling.
Yeah.
Of all time. I've been like, why am I not first? What is going on? So yes, I am competitive. That's why I don't like doing competitions, because then I start to be not nice.
With Drag Race, it seems as though people's talents are able to come out. Do you have any talents that you maybe have discovered while you've been exploring your drag persona?
I think that one of the things, I mean, I don't know if it's a talent exactly, but I found that, you know, when I first started out, I was always so concerned with like being like perfect on stage in terms of like always feeling like fierce or whatever. But after a while, I figured out that being goofy is just as great. So I think that it's not necessarily a talent, but it's something that I can lean into. It's definitely an asset, I would say, sometimes.
So obviously, Ty Nomi is not in the competition anymore, but Scarlett is. Now, other than those two, is there anybody that you're rooting for or anybody that surprised you so far in this competition?
One of my favorites so far this season, and she's been doing very well, is Jimbo. I've been really, really enjoying Jimbo as a queen, as a character even on the show. She's always one of the people who consistently makes me laugh and surprises me each episode.
And what do you feel? How are you feeling about the format? It's a little bit different, obviously, than RuPaul's Drag Race. Like, we have the 3 judges as opposed to having RuPaul and the guest judge is taking the RuPaul's position. How are you feeling about how the format is going and translating onto our screens? I
am really, really enjoying it so far, actually. I love that, like, the guest judge gets to come and do all the lines, and they each interpret it their own different way. Like, I love that when, you know, Deborah Cox was on, she didn't do it as like a RuPaul impersonation. She did her own thing, and I really loved it. And I love that with the judging panel, it feels like it's all equal. So it's not just RuPaul at the end of the day saying, oh, well, this is the person that I want to go further. It feels like an equal opportunity to be like, here's my vote, this is my vote, and this is my vote. And that's what's happening. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's obviously this week is the Snatch game, which is pretty much, it's the most iconic, we'll say, episode. You know, episode 5 is going to be the Snatch game in some capacity. Have you thought or considered of maybe characters that you would have done if you were going to be on the show doing Snatch game? Do you have any go-to impersonations? You don't have to, I'm not going to ask you to do one, don't worry.
The only like impersonations I've actually done like within a bar have been like obviously like well not obviously but have been more like pop stars, so they don't translate well to Snatch game. You don't, I mean, I guess Tatiana and Derek did Britney very well, but I'm not gonna get on there and try to do Britney or Kylie. So I find that the some of the best choices are sometimes reality TV stars. So like I'd have to find the funny in someone like Kris Jenner or Kim Zolciak-Biermann from Real House of Atlanta. Yeah. I am ready to get, you know, a little smoke in my mouth and get the pizza and the wine and just yell, sweetie. I'm ready for it. I'm ready for that.
I feel like there needs to be a day where everybody does Snatch game. Like, I need to see everybody's characters because, I don't know, they're just so fun. And I come from an arts background, so I like when people step outside of their comfort zone, step outside their selves and, you know, do something different. So I thought that this particular episode was definitely the best episode so far in the season because it had my two favorite competitions within it. It starts off with a mini challenge. Thank you for another mini challenge. And we have the Snatch game. So at the beginning of the episode, we have, Tainomi is gone. I'm actually really sad about this. Paz, what do you think about her being gone?
Her leaving, honestly, it was her time to go at that point because she had been in the bottom so much. But they were all so crushed. The entire cast was so crushed. To see Boa so upset, to see Pri, and I know Pri and Tainomi are such great friends, that to see them so upset, and like they were all sitting on the couch, and like even Lemon says, it's like one of our family members is gone, and it's just, and now it's down to the final 8 or top 8 or whatever, But yeah, it was really sad. But you know what? I've seen so much love for Tainomi in the last week or so that I've seen that iconic picture with her and the pit crew. I don't know if you guys saw that, but it's the 4 pit crew members and they're just wearing nothing. And she's just looking fierce up against a wall. Slay bitch.
Are you friends with Tainomi? Okay.
Tainomi I always cite her as part of my drag holy trinity. So it's Scarlett, my mother, Jada Hudson, and then Tainomi. So she's been on my bucket list of queens that I want to work with from the start, and I've never gotten to so far, but we've had a lot of opportunities together, just hanging out at bars, and I think the thing that people don't realize about her, and this is why everybody was so emotional in that episode, why they're all bawling, and I was doing a viewing party online, and I'm having to be keep it together. The thing about Tainomi is she's actually she has this huge personality, but she's also very maternal. And when you're around her, you just feel so protected and loved. And you're just oh my God, I don't want her to go.
So I guess everybody was mourning that episode. I'd be so sad if I was doing a viewing party watching it. Oh, so heartbreaking. I'm actually still mad though that there was no walkthrough on that.
That pissed you off.
It really did.
You're pissed.
Because it didn't give them an opportunity to do better, and it was such an important challenge for all the queens. Design challenge, aesthetic, all that stuff is there's a lot of taste levels that are you have to have the taste of whoever's judging you, and you don't know if you don't know what they're looking for at all. It's kind of hard to nail it for sure. And I don't think that any of the queens really did that exceptionally, obviously, except for the plastics team, they did pretty well. But everybody else, not that great.
I mean, you got your walkthrough this episode.
Exactly. So they know how to do it.
It can be done. Tay, is that your pussy? Is your pussy cat out?
One of them, I have 3. She's walking around. She's I've eaten, now give me attention.
Aw. Jojo's always the pervy one. So if you want any sexual innuendos, you know that it's coming from Jojo.
Dare.
It's
all
true.
Of you. Yeah, it's true.
Always
100%.
true. Well, now Priyanka is kind of mentioning that she is going to be the top dog now that Tainomi is gone. I mean, we're not going to talk about the end of the episode yet, but how did you feel in this moment about about Priyanka taking the position away from Tainomi, Tay?
Well, within the standing of the competition, because actually I did this homework last night because I was wait a minute, isn't there a fan scoring system? So within the competition itself, first place is actually Rita right now. So if you do the unofficial points according to where they are. So it's, she's actually at the top and Priyanka's somewhere around number 4. So Rita, I guess, would be over Tainomi.
Well, for sure, actually, but it's according to all the Toronto queens, I guess Priyanka is kind of top now. Is there anybody left from Toronto? Who's left?
Well, yeah, there's still Bobo and there's still Boa.
Boa and Pri.
Boa, 3 of them.
I got a kind of.
Say it again.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Say it again, Tay. Did you say something?
Lemon.
Technically.
Lemon, right.
Yeah.
Right.
My question is that so Pri says that she was voted best local queen of Toronto. When did that happen?
Now Magazine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she had the girl was on the cover. Incredible photo. Fan favorite of Toronto. Oh, find it. Yes. She looked really good too.
I feel like I've seen the cover. I think I've also saw Priyanka years ago, maybe with Pez.
I mean,
She
she
didn't
is a
perform, but I think
baby
she
queen.
walked through Cruising Tangos.
There you go.
Oh, sick.
Thank you. Yes.
Yes! Amazing! Okay, so now you
those
know.
up. I'm like, ooh, I want one.
Now you know. That's going to be you one day, Tay.
Next summer.
What did you guys think about the little fight between Priyanka and Elona? Priyanka's basically calling Elona out for playing the victim card a little bit all the time, but Elona claps back. Like, she is not afraid to come back. Jojo, what do you think about that whole fight that went down?
I don't know. I think Jimbo kind of put Elona in her place last episode. And I think Elona's young, right? She's still figuring herself out. She has tended to be a little bit over dramatic in general. But was I surprised? No. Like, sisters fight. I really do think that the cast in general, they do get along. But I wasn't surprised by it. No, God. And good for Pri and for Elona for like kind of
sister. Sorry.
I wanted them just to like pick up for themselves. Elona was like, there was just some exchanges back and forth, which were pretty funny. So I was happy to see that.
So Ruview comes on the screen looking gorgeous as ever and having a lot of Canadianisms in her little speech. Did you guys pick up what she was going down or what she was saying in all of them?
Her Celine-isms?
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. Song titles.
Exactly. They're all her song titles. And I was like, I actually felt really proud to be Canadian. I'm like, I know that one. Yeah. I know that one. And I was like, oh my God, the Americans that are watching it are probably like, rolling their eyes. I mean, like, they're so Canadian, but like, I knew what they all were. All I feel like Brooklyn was having like PTSD this entire episode.
Oh, yeah.
Like Celine, Snatch Game. She's probably like shaking, waiting to start.
Do you think that's why they made her go in and do that?
Yeah, 100%.
Like, oh, who's that cat?
This is Cleo. She won't shut up, so I don't know what to do.
Oh, Miss Cleo?
Miss Cleo.
Call me now?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
So cute.
So cute. One of the things is so Brooklyn comes out with the for like the reading challenge, and what I loved is her little shout out to Paris, Ontario.
Yeah.
Like, out of all the places, but like Paris is burning, Paris, Ontario, and I really don't know too much about Paris, Ontario, or where it is, but I know the one person that I hated the most in my whole life was from Paris, Ontario. That is oh my God. So reading challenge.
Yeah, well, one thing I just wanted to ask you guys, within the kind of intro to when Brooklyn mentions Paris, Ontario is burning, he said something about the Dewey Decimal System. Is that a Canadian thing? I thought it was an everything thing.
Oh, I don't know. I'm not that smart.
I was just like shocked. I was like, oh my God, it's a Dewey Decimal System. Is that only Canadianism?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Well, because he said something about like, we're going to go and Dewey decimate the competition in the library or something like that. And I was like, what? Anyways, I just heard it recently, like right before. Anyways, yeah, Google it.
Google.
Yeah. Okay, you wanted to say something about the library challenge, Pez?
Well, I was just saying, like, it was like, that's what was so iconic about this whole episode is that we got the Snatch Game and we got the reading challenge, and that is the best thing ever. Like, honestly, Pit Crew, they come out with some shades. And the first one is Pri to go, and she just like you just like what's in Scarlett's face filler, and it just is like that was Pri's best one.
It was a pretty good line. Did you, Tay, have any of the reading challenge that really stood out for you as super funny and they slay?
Well, obviously, it was Lemon's read for Priyanka, right? The only thing you're fucking is stupid. It killed me. I was cackling. It's iconic.
Oh my God, yeah. I definitely, people were saying that she was a coaster and like, kind of giving her a few little digs, but she's so lighthearted and likable and she takes like people, reading her, just so well. And so I was really happy that she had some good zingers coming back. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, go Lemon. She's also on my team. So I'm like, go Lemon. Like, I need
Does
you
it
to do
work?
well. But I thought she did a really good job. Jojo, did anybody else stand out to you?
I actually thought everyone was pretty cute.
Kiara,
Straight up. I thought it was like, it flowed well. It didn't feel like everything was planned. Like they came there with lines and just put in someone else's name. Yeah, I was impressed with it. I wish it was called like the Bibliothèque Challenge or something though. That would have been cute.
yes.
They could Canadian up a little. Yes.
The biggest read though out of anything was when Rita went after Brooklyn. That was, oh, finally we have a Canada's Drag Race where a Canadian can actually win. And I was like, but like, come on, it was perfect. It was just,
good.
bitch.
They had to do, someone had to do it eventually. Like, Rita had another good line when she's like, everybody just hold a moment of silence for a moment of like, Elona not complaining. I was like, yeah. She does complain a lot, that girl. I actually still kind of like her though. Is that bad?
It's not bad, I don't think.
Oh.
Because she's kind of shitty, but like, I kind of like her still.
I like all of them. I like everyone that's left.
And Boa's read for Lemon. Can you hold my drink? I always want to put it on a coaster. That was great. Boa came through. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the only ones that I thought everybody's was quite funny in general. Like, I didn't, well, some people kind of flopped. But even Priyanka, when she made some, not funny, she's like, that was good. That was a funny, like, at least she played up on the fact that it wasn't a good, or didn't land anyways. Yeah. So I was pretty satisfied with the reading challenge, and I think they just should have it all the time. I just really like it. Yeah. It's really good. But the main event, what we've all been waiting for, it was this Snatch game. Yeah. I loved it. Tay, did you love the Snatch game?
Yes. Well, it was 3/4. I loved it 3/4. I'll say that.
So what didn't you love about it then?
Well, Snatch game is always hit and miss. When it's great, it's fantastic. Like most of the cast this week, well, I guess it's last week, but they killed it. So many of them could have ended up on the top, but obviously when there are some who aren't doing too well, or they might pick a character who's not the most sensitive choice, sometimes it's a little deflating. Yeah,
I was kind of upset, not upset, but I mean, with Boa's character, Gypsy Rose, she did have a lot of opportunity to do funny things. I understand how she was kind of tippy-toeing around being sensitive to this topic and situation. But if you're going to choose that character, you're going to have to go all the way with that character and take that risk, because tippy-toeing around it is just bad. And you're just like, it's not even worth it to make fun of this character because you're not even going all the way with it. So I thought that it was a poor choice if she wasn't going to go all the way with it. Jojo, what do you think?
Trixie Mattel did a Gypsy Rose Blanchard act a couple of years ago, so it's been done. So if you're going to do Gypsy Rose, you have to go all out. You need like the sunken eye, the red eye, the bloodstained knife, the take your hat off and you actually have hair, you're not actually ill. Or like someone could have passed her an Emmy or something and she wins a performance for the television show. I think there was some missed opportunity there. And for someone like Boa, who has such a big personality, I was surprised that she didn't succeed during Snatch Game. I expected her to go in, like, give everyone a run for their money. But I love the idea. I just didn't love the execution. I did like that she was doing this. She had like legit iPad or iPods in her nose. Take a look back, it made me laugh.
I'm gonna say something about for Boa and stuff. I feel like she was a little sabotaged a little bit by Jeffrey. Honestly.
Let's hear it.
Well, because I think that like Jeffrey doing the walkthrough was okay. I actually think that, like, I know that Brooklyn hosted it, so I guess Jeffrey would do the walkthrough. But the fact that like he like poo-pooed her idea of doing Cyndi Lauper, which I thought would have been actually a better choice. Maybe not the Rebel Wilson one, but like she wanted to do Cyndi Lauper. And I'm like, she could have done a lot more with Cyndi Lauper as opposed to, because she was already so hesitant about doing this and not wanting to like, offend anybody. Which
Drag Race.
Boa ended up having to. Go ahead.
Personally, though, I don't think that Cyndi Lauper has enough Cyndi Lauperisms for it to land and be funny. And I think that, like, I don't remember specifically what Jeffrey said, but I feel as though he just basically said, if you're going to do this character, make it funny. That's basically what he said. And I think that is the right thing to say to her. I think it was the best character choice out of the three of them, because I think it did have the most opportunity to be funny. And so I don't necessarily agree that he sabotaged her there. What do you think? You decide this for us.
I just felt like that he said a lot of like little comments to a lot of the queens that, made them change their options. Like kind of with Scarlett, like maybe she should have done Fran Drescher and tried that out. But her Liza was amazing. It was. But it was just a few things. Like I would have rather seen Boa do that because she was so hesitant on like, I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want to do any of this. And then all of a sudden, like I go on Instagram the other day and Boa's having to write a complete apology to all the people that it did offend.
Yeah. Because she didn't go all the way with it. Because she was tippy-toeing. If she nailed it and it was funny, I don't think she would get as much hate for it.
Maybe if she was like, if she had done the complete character throughout. Because I didn't even know who it was. And I was just like, oh, she's playing this cancer victim. If you didn't know anything about it, it could have been, I could see how it was kind of like slightly offensive.
Well, I mean, then do your research, people. Why are you complaining? It's like, I don't want to hear complaints about this if someone thinks that it's just a girl with cancer. This is a character. There's a television show based on this person. She's a real life person. It's factual. Have fun. We make lighthearted shit happen all the time. Donald Trump during the UK Drag Race Snatch game. Was that offensive? No. But that's real life terror.
Tay, what are your thoughts?
I knew what had happened with Trixie's performance and why it was such an inflammatory thing for her to do. And so when Boa went away to film, or rather when the whole cast went away to film, they missed everything that happened in the fandom and with Trixie. So they basically had no context for why doing that specific performance would be offensive. But for me, I felt like of the choices she had, I think that the most fun she probably would have been actually with Rebel Wilson, just because I find that their personalities are closest together and there are little bits and pieces she could have picked out of some of her roles. Like she could have stood up at one point and like revealed a badly drawn picture of Brooklyn Heights on her, like in Bridesmaids, and just been like, look where I go, like something or whatever. I think what we tend to see happen with Snatch Game a lot, and this kind of happened with Boa and it happened with Priyanka, is for queens who are so authentically themselves and they're just funny as themselves, I think that they often stumble a little bit when they have to be funny as someone else. So they kind of have to get out of their head of being like, this is how I make people laugh, but how do I make people laugh as somebody else? I think that's kind of what we saw this episode.
Fair.
Yeah, I can see that. I guess I also don't know Rebel Wilson that well. I've never seen Pitch Perfect. Sorry, guys.
Oh my goodness.
I'm not the biggest fan of, what's her name? Anna Kendrick. So, sorry. And so
you need to follow her on Twitter. You'll become a fan.
No.
Mark my words.
No, I know she's very self-deprecating, and I can go on and on about
it's okay.
why I don't necessarily enjoy her, and so I just never really watched any movies that she's in, and so I never got on the Rebel Wilson train, and I think I've seen Bridesmaids. I don't even remember that she was in it. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, I totally understand too with it being offensive to anybody that's experienced what Gypsy Rose has. I guess I was just seeing that, like, if she's going to choose that character, make it funny, because then it's paying homage to it, and then it's like not making fun of, it's kind of lifting it up. It's kind of giving it a
Sure,
spotlight,
sure,
like,
sure,
you know, so, but I see both sides for sure. And I can see, and I can totally understand why she'd be tippy-toeing around that topic. And so either go all the way or don't do it at all, because doing it half-assed, I think is more offensive in my opinion, you know?
Fair.
A little
Okay.
bit. Okay, we'll
Take
talk
it.
about somebody else. Ugh.
Ooh.
Priyanka as Miss Cleo, as Tay's pussycat.
A lot of psychics have been done on Snatch Game. I mean, like Fifi O'Hara did it. Walter Mercado with
Alexis Mateo.
with Alexis Potato, and yeah, I mean, like when it works, but like at the same time, like even Brooklyn was like throwing her stuff and just being like, why didn't you match? If you're a psychic, why didn't you match with them? And like
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty, I was pretty upset that she chose somebody that doesn't have, like, okay, yes, like, call me now, like we know that it's already been done before. And you know, you were saying to me, Jojo, beforehand that she was getting a lot of flack for doing a Black character, and so I thought that she was going to, like, it was going to be better, but I think that they're probably mad at her because she was so bad.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't good at all. And I agree with you, Tay, that, you know, she was relying on the fact that she's just naturally funny, but she wasn't able to channel her funniness through Miss Cleo. And I wish she had a second option, because that was not well thought out, Jojo.
But didn't everyone kind of expect Priyanka to blow it out of the park? Like, I expected Priyanka to go into this challenge really strong. She's good in front of a camera, clearly. She's great with improv. And it just fell flat. I think one of the first things she said was something about Poom Poom. Was it Pom Pom or Poom Poom?
Yeah.
Poom Poom. And like, it didn't read from Brooklyn. It didn't, and then there was just no volley back and forth. So I think she was dead on arrival. Instead of bitch on arrival, Priyanka was dead on arrival.
You're faster than me on that.
Sorry, had to do it. I think she could have chosen someone else, but I can't wait to get further on to the episode so we can discuss something else about Pri. But I'll make a mental note now.
What did you think about Pri's Miss Cleo?
Pri's always like naturally funny and stuff like that, but it's just like, who could she have done out? Like who else she could have done? I don't know. Like it would have been, could she have done the other Priyanka? Like, could she have done that? That would have been like a little weird. I don't know, but I think
she could have. I think she could have picked a million people.
Yeah.
I think the list could go on.
Anybody that has like if she's gonna do Miss Cleo, have some jokes ready. Like you know that people are gonna be like, "What am I thinking now?" They're gonna be like, "Why didn't you know the answer?" Like those are gonna be things for sure that they're gonna ask you about premonitions. And so,
or like writing down the answer while it's being said. She's like,
something.
Just make a shtick of it. I think
she definitely. I think she relied on her funniness just to like be able to like volley, but I think she needed to have a little bit more structure so she could do a good job.
Yeah.
When Jeffrey entered the workroom to give them their critiques, I was like, he doesn't know that he's actually really hated right now, which is really interesting. You know, like the fact that he's getting a lot of backlash across North America, I'd say, about his critiques and his style of I don't know, mentoring the queens. And, you know, he just walks into the workroom with this normal saunter. And I'm just thinking, I'm like, man, like he has no idea that he is not a fan favorite right now. What have you been thinking about Jeffrey so far this season, Tay?
I
tread lightly.
That right now, my favorite judge is Stacey McKenzie, because I find that she's the most constructive in her criticism.
Yeah,
because I like everybody. I had such a huge problem with what he said to Jimbo last week, because it was so insensitive and it was so out of touch, especially in comparison. Like it was just so weird seeing Jimbo on one end and then the metal team on the other. And for him to say that, to just be like, oh, use your time better, maybe. I'm like, But that
That's
team
true.
spent 20 minutes on theirs, and Jimbo spent like, I don't even know how long. Like, what is this nonsense?
Yeah.
Really?
Probably a full day he spent on those like flowers. Like, yeah,
Beautiful.
I definitely think that needs to have learned how to be a little bit more constructive in his fierce criticisms.
And understanding reference points.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The Marie Antoinette, he's like, oh, you should have had your arms covered. And it's like, Marie Antoinette never had her arms covered. It was always face. Understand your reference points here, Jeffrey.
Eek. I agree. Agreed.
Yeah.
What did we think about
Jimbo.
Kiara's
Oh.
Mariah?
I thought it was a great concept. I liked the costuming, but I think that she kind of chose her just because she likes her music, not because, or she likes to perform to her music, not because she's a lamb or a fan, whatever. Mariah's not I don't know. I think you need like a physical comedy to do Mariah, to be like really like a lazy dancer, or to like be lip syncing, or to forget the words. I don't know. What annoyed me was she's such a great actress that I thought that she could pull it off. She's done so well in the acting challenges.
She didn't even try her voice, which was kind of like, because like Mariah kind of looks a little bit like, or what she would have been amazing. Like, I don't know if you guys have watched her reality show. I have. And so in her reality show, she has her alter ego was basically her in like a black wig, and like it's like her other version of Mariah, and like that would have been even fun to play up with, like the two versions of her, like have like a wig switch out and to do this other version of Mariah, like even just to do that and not be funny, like it would have been better than what she did. But there's just a lot more things that she could have done other than having a nice rack and a Christmas hat.
Yeah.
One thing I loved, sorry, we didn't even mention it yet, is I love Tracy Melchior doing the E-Talk like step and repeat where they all came on. I thought that was an amazing addition. I was like, I was proud of that. Did you loved it too, Jojo?
Oh, I love Tracy. Every time she's been on the screen so far, I think she's been really impressive. I think she should be more of a staple on the show. They could afford to use her more.
Yes, you like the step and repeat?
I like the she talk. The she talk was great, but going back to Mariah for a second, it's like Shangela did the best Mariah. Like she did, like she did. That was the embodiment. Like she just go off of that. Say use some references from All I Want for Christmas. Like make some glitter references. Like glitter. Like that's a perfect thing. What?
I don't know her. Hello.
No, I don't know exactly. Every meme.
It's a meme, right? It's so
what did she put on her poutine? Glitter, like the hit movie that I was doing. Like it's kind of like
one thing she could have even just done, like it's really stupid, but it would have been something, is just take every single song title she ever had and only answer in her song titles. And she, like something, it would just been something that ties all together. It'd just be a little bit stupid, but know that you did a little bit of research and a little bit of kind of know about Mariah a little bit. It looks like she did not know anything about Mariah except that she sang one song, All I Want for Christmas.
Yeah.
You're nodding your head. You have some thoughts about Kiara's Mariah impersonation? Okay, thoughts?
Lord. Like I said, pop stars are hard. Pop stars are really hard, but like it's always like Beyonce, people fail at doing Beyonce, people fail at doing Lady Gaga, and Mariah obviously was a little bit of a flop this week, but Mariah does have moments that you can pull from. You can pull from the I don't know her. You can do any of the things that she says, the shit that she says. This person's getting fired, you know, that kind of stuff. You know, this person's not singing right.
Yes.
I mean, even to have the crew carry her the whole time would have been really funny.
Yeah.
She's always being carried by like people around.
Carried by the pit crew, honey. Like, come on now.
Oh, poor Kiara. Now what was really funny about Elona's character is that I don't even know how I scrolled. I was on Twitter and all of a sudden I see this woman, the cock destroyer. I'm like, what is happening? It was before she mentioned this on the Snatch game, like 2 days ago or 2 days before I'd watched it. And I'm like, what is happening? And I watched the whole thing. I'm like, this cock destroyer. And it was so repulsive. Like, she just was really gross to me. And so what do you guys think about Elona being the cock destroyer?
I thought it was so funny because I really don't know her either, but I mean, like, that's why I kind of went back.
Did you look it up?
Well, I know who she, like, I know who they are. Like, I've seen it. Like, it turns me right off. Like, I'm glad I'm gay. And I watched, so that's kind of what the reference is in UK Drag Race when they go, "We're the Frock Destroyers," and it's like, then I had to look up what that was. I was like, I don't understand why it's so funny. And then I look it up, and it's this like British porn star who is like, but she did a great job, I thought, because
her name is Rebecca Moore.
Rebecca Moore, yeah, and just what, should I watch something? Should I go?
Yes.
Well,
I
you can
think
watch
she's
it right
incredible.
now. You can have a reaction video. She has one video where she's in the car and she just like, oh, it's so gross. Tay, what did you think about Rebecca Moore?
I am so happy that somebody did one of the cock destroyers because they are. So whenever one of their videos comes up on my timeline on Twitter, I have to watch it, especially the one where she goes, "Fuck, they're so funny to me, and it's such a genius choice."
Yeah.
But the unfortunate thing is that, like, if you saw like that extra clip where it was Elona and Scarlett just talking the shit backstage, where Scarlett goes, you do realize that half of your Snatch game is going to be left on the cutting room floor because you were that dirty.
Yeah.
And sure enough,
It's
we only got
true.
a little smidgen of it.
A little.
Oh my god.
Soya.
It's so gross to me, but like it was a really good, like I was so happy that I just had seen it, so it was really fresh in my mind. And like I think that Elona, from what we were shown, did a pretty great job. Which one are you watching, Paz? I don't even know.
Well, she's talking a lot to like the dick, so I'm just like,
is it the one she's in the car?
No, it's just the first one that popped up.
Is it the two of them in the bedroom?
Thinks she's a boss, and she seems like she's interviewing somebody for a job. and she's basically doing the job. Anyway, that's enough of that.
So there you go. It's an education on cock destroyer. Yeah, I did.
I'm all like flushed now. Like, wow, okay.
Wait, you didn't watch this episode with your mom?
No, but my mom watched it twice. She told me.
Really?
Oh.
Did you ask her about Rebecca Moore?
I didn't ask her about that. All she loved was Jimbo, and she just like loved the thing. But she said that she watched it twice. She goes, "That was funny." And I was like, I'm just like, the fact that my mom's watching Snatch Game by herself at home, it's so great.
Yeah.
One thing that bothered me, though, just about the entire Snatch Game is the eye lines. And so wherever Brooklyn was standing, everybody had profiles to her, and instead of like cheating out a little bit. And so I don't know if that's the same issue in the American version, and they just like cheat their eye lines. But it did bother me that I didn't see their faces a lot of the time when they were doing some volleying back and forth with Brooklyn. Did you guys notice that too?
No, I didn't think so.
So I always saw the profile, especially for a cock destroyer. I wanted to see the disgusting lipstick around her.
Yeah.
Well,
It was like
was so far away.
It's all under her tit too. Like she clearly just like got it on her fingers and just had it all over her outfit. Oh god.
Ew, so gross. Well, going forward, not as gross, but definitely hilarious was Jimbo. Jimbo as Joan Rivers was fucking great. Yeah. Sorry, I swore this episode, but she was great. Oh my God. Well, you say the line, Jojo. Tell the joke. If you're going to show the fingers, say
no. My mother's next door. No. I can't say those words. She'll hear me.
The volley back from her and like the Liza thing where she's like, "Get me out of here. I just want to click my heels like Judy." And she's like, "Don't talk about my mother." And you guys, we invented the Snatch Game. You miss your fingers? Oh.
My fingers. Oh.
I mean, so she had to have that joke ready to go, right?
I don't think she did. I think Jimbo's just on. I think she's incredibly witty. She's clever. She's on the game. She was on the ball this episode, and it was clear. And she went in like ready, the ashes.
But
and then,
no,
like,
but
what she was doing with them.
why I think that Snatch game line was like ready to go. I mean, I loved it, whether it was or it wasn't. It's just because like, she's talking about Snatch. Snatch also means vagina.
Yep.
You know, me and my mother, we invented the Snatch games moment. But, like, I feel like that might have been a line that she constructed and was able to use it. Like, I do think that she might have had just ideas that were ready to come out if it was relevant. You know what I mean?
Well,
like, I think she prepared.
Let me ask her.
Ask her. Slash, so we might be talking to her. I know that Nick has out, and so that might be someone that we speak to if they are allowed to talk to us. That would be kind of cool. Tay, you were saying that you really think that Jimbo is doing really well. How did you feel about Miss Joan Rivers?
Joan Rivers was a brilliant choice, and it's a choice that I'm always waiting for somebody to do on Snatch Game, because I'm like, nobody, like, so few people actually do comedians, but Jimbo did Joan, the voice, the look. Oh, I just lived for every single moment of it. And the thing that she did so successfully that, my mother also did is she really knew how to interact with the rest of the panel. Yeah. And she always had the right line that was so perfectly in character for those other people.
I loved it too. It was so funny. What are you just remembering about it?
No, it's just the fact, like, just following off that is the fact that, like, in improv, it's like, just take a moment and just listen. If you're listening to everybody else, then you're just like, you can volley back and forth. And like, the other thing is what, like, knowing who everyone else is doing in the workroom, like, you come by and like, who are you doing? Oh, I'm going to be doing Liza. Cool. So then Jimbo could be going back and being like, cool, I could talk about Judy, I could talk about this, and then you could talk about, and then when she started like volleying with Bella, doing like, that's a face only a mother could love, and stuff like that, it's perfect. It was so good.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved also Scarlett Bobo's Liza. Like, I thought she was really great. And so, when Jeffrey kind of mentioned, like, is it the time to step outside of something that you are comfortable with doing? I think it was a good idea for her to have somebody that was a little bit more well-rehearsed and something that she felt comfortable with, because in rehearsal, it allows you to play. When you know something pretty well, you can volley. You're not worried about what you have to say. And so I thought it was a strong choice for her to stay in like a character that she was already kind of well versed in. How would it feel seeing your drag mother doing Liza?
I love her. I love her, Liza. Obviously she was sitting down, so we didn't really get to see the physicality of when she does Liza, but sometimes she gets a little stuck in Liza, so sometimes she'll do like Madonna and she'll be doing Liza hands. I'm like, what's this? But for her, I really do love her Liza, because it kind of aligns similarly with what her natural inclinations would be for witty comebacks and things to say. And it was just, it really was, for me, the night Joan and Liza were the two characters that I felt translated the strongest. And the gag with the hair, with the same black hair underneath, I loved for two reasons. One, it reminded me of Monet's iconic wig moment on, I think it was a tour or something like that, where she pulls off her pussycat wig and it's the same wig underneath. Yeah. And then the other reason I loved it is because we were doing a viewing party and I was dressed as Kris Jenner wearing the exact wig that she had underneath. So I'm like, oh, look, my wig's on TV. I say my wig, I mean her wig, because I stole it from her.
So fun. Jojo, what do you think of Scarlett's Liza?
I love Liza. I mean, I'm not sure if Scarlett's a fan of Liza from Arrested Development, because that's what Liza being on that show, that's what I see when I see Scarlett do Liza. But to be honest, I was nervous at the beginning because we have had great Lizas on Snatch Game in the US version, so I really was a little nervous. I would have loved to see Fran Drescher. I think she's a great idea for Snatch Game, and I hope someone actually does that. But yeah, Scarlett kicks ass every time she's on the stage. So, but I am getting tired of seeing her save. I'm tired. I'm sure she's tired of it. If there was an Untucked, maybe I would like it a little bit more so that I could get a little bit more from her during an episode. But yeah, she was great. But I also wasn't surprised. But I've also seen her do Liza a million times, so I like watching it. I'm like, oh, she'll be fine. Like I'm not nervous for her.
And I think it was really lucky that she got to be playing with Jimbo, because Jimbo seems to be a really good scene partner. It seems that he's, he takes all those improv lessons of like say yes to any, suggestion from the partner, et cetera, et cetera. And so it was really good that their characters were able to interact and that they were sitting right in front of each other, because I think it was an opportunity for both of them to play a little bit. And I think they helped both of each other excel in the Snatch game. So I
very
thought,
Canadian.
Say again?
Very Canadian. Like let's all do well.
Well, I want actually them all to do well in the Snatch game because it's entertaining. I don't enjoy people failing. Like I want to see people do well. I was really happy though that pretty much 5 out of the 8 queens did pretty well in the Snatch game. So there wasn't that many flops. Another person that was great, I thought, was Rita Vega doing Edith Piaf. Hez, what did you think?
You know what? I don't know who she is, and I wanted to do my research on her. But after this, I'll probably like put her on and listen to like a nice little song that she sings. But like she just was in character the entire time, and I didn't care that I didn't know her. I just wanted to watch what she was gonna do. Like that's what I love about these Snatch games. Like it's bringing back people like Mae West when Alaska did that, and you're like bringing back these people, these iconic people from like the past that like, hey, you should check these people out. These are iconic Canadians. These are iconic movie stars, and so it gives a little bit of history to these people.
I think queens that do celebrities that are a little bit unknown actually excel most of the time. They do really well, or they end up winning the Snatch game in general because they're going in with a clear intention. They know who these people are. They know what they would say. They're able to volley back and forth a little bit more. Edith Piaf is she's a famous French singer-songwriter. She sings La Vie en Rose. I have her on record. She's incredible, but she's also hunched over. And I think Rita knew her well and kicked ass. She was for me, Rita was up there. But like you said, 5 out of the 8 were pretty damn good.
Hey, were you familiar with Edith Piaf before the Snatch game, and how do you feel about Rita Vega's impersonation?
I knew of Edith Piaf because I was in French immersion, so of course they told us about the most famous French singer that ever lived. But yeah, I agree with what's said when they pull for a character who's more, I don't want to say historic, but when they pull from characters who are maybe like vintage characters, it's great because usually I tend to find like when Sasha Velour did Marlena Dietrich, it's pulling from and showing that they have versatility and knowledge beyond with just what's current. So I'm not overly familiar with what she was like as a person, but just the way that Rita was able to translate her to an audience, it felt fully formed. It felt like a 3-dimensional character that was really successfully well done.
Yeah, I definitely felt that it was her. Obviously they're not from the same timeline, but like she didn't break character once. Like she was that person, and I think that's also why it was so successful, because she went for it. And so I really enjoyed watching that, and it obviously made people interested in like doing some research and hearing her music and having a little, revitalizing Edith Piaf. And so I think it's going to be really awesome in that regard as well. People doing some research on this woman now as well. Another top dog. So I was a little bit behind. I hadn't kept up with the Kardashians. So I was on season 15, and I decided to go and catch up to season 18. And on one of the episodes, Jojo Siwa was North, Kim's daughter, wanted to meet Jojo Siwa and do an episode on her YouTube channel. And so I knew who she was, but I just recently saw her and North do an episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. So I thought that Lemon was spot on, but amped up. And it was like, I thought she did a really fun, great job with Jojo Siwa. You guys are all nodding. Who wants to talk about her first? Jojo.
Can I go first?
Yes.
Honestly, it was my favorite.
My favorite too.
It was absolutely my favorite.
No.
And like, just to say this at the beginning, Jojo is a fan of Drag Race and loved the fact that Lemon did her.
You're good.
Which is great. But the hairline, as soon as I saw it, I was on the floor because she has every video is people like talking about her hairline. There's like a timeline of how far back it's gone from that. And don't think I didn't look for a bow today. I was scouring my house and looking for one. I'm like, my sister has to have one here somewhere. I need to wear a bow, but I couldn't find one. And the lisp, the no R, it was great. Lemon was spot on. I was really impressed. Really impressed.
That's the type of character that could flop, especially because most people won't know who she is. She's definitely for the younger demographic, and so
on YouTube, the girl has like 50 million followers. So like people, if you go to your whatever. Well, I'm like, my YouTube is so messed. Like I go on, I'm like, cool. So I'm watching girls shave their heads or take out their dreadlocks, and then I have Drag Race and Big Brother 22. That's about it. So maybe I wouldn't see JoJo on my YouTube suggestions.
Yeah. Pez, you had some thoughts too?
So with Jojo Siwa, I sometimes will turn on a Nickelodeon thing because it kind of keeps, because I'm turning 40 and I kind of want to keep up with the times right now. So I go back and watch who's like this who are the hip happening kids these days? And she's just like hosting. And hi, I love it. And I'm like, oh my God, this girl has how many pixie sticks has she eaten? But then I saw that she was on The Masked Singer, which I think, okay. She made it pretty far. She made it.
Don't tell me who she is. I want to guess because I'll probably watch it eventually.
What's that?
Don't tell me who her.
Yeah, but when she came out, I was like, oh, there's that girl from that thing. And then now she's on Celebrity Watch Party, which is like celebrities watching TV and it's their reactions. So it's her and her mom watching the show. So they might actually show Canada's Drag Race, or maybe it's done. But it was all Tyra Banks is on it. Raven Simone and her family's on it. It's actually really well done. You guys should check it out. But she just killed it. And she every time it would just be on Scarlet, you would just see her in the background, just be
dabbing.
But it's so hard. It's so funny.
Tay, you enjoyed this as well? Was this your favorite one, or you're sticking with your drag mom?
Well, I think that, my choice for the winner was the one who won. So this was one of the first weeks where the person who I thought should won. But JoJo was a smart choice. She's ridiculous. She's too much. And that's exactly what you want on Snatch Game. You want somebody who is too much. And even just from the visual perspective, with what was mentioned with the wig and the hair, this far back, I was like, oh, she's going in, is she? And it's the pulling the hair.
Losing the hair.
It was just those little moments where I was like, she's coming for her too. It was just so silly.
Am I crazy, or was there somebody else that did Jojo Siwa in the US version maybe a few seasons ago?
I don't
feel
think
someone else has done her, and I didn't know who she was at the time, and now I'm like, oh, I wonder.
If they did, I don't remember.
Oh, no, I don't think so.
I thought that it was definitely a close match between Jojo Siwa and Joan Rivers. I thought it was a close match. I think that both of them would have been deserving of the win there, but I loved both of those performances. Is that everybody?
Can I just say one thing before we get to the runway?
Do whatever you want. Empowered.
Oh, I was gonna flash everyone. That really messed up. I have to say, what was I gonna say? Oh, I have to say, I think the winner this week was decided on the runway.
Yeah.
And I don't think that necessarily always happens with Drag Race. But that being said, before we talk about the runway, I don't agree with the bottom two. if we factor in the runway and the performances. I don't know how that matched up this week because I feel like the winner was chosen because of the runway, but the bottom two was not chosen because of the runway.
Interesting.
So that's what made me think, I don't know what they're doing, because sometimes it matters, sometimes it doesn't. But maybe we'll get to that when we get to the bottom two.
We're there now, so we can.
Perfect. Thank God.
Well, I mean, because we've obviously gone through everybody. We know that Priyanka didn't do the greatest and Kiara didn't do the greatest, and I'm like holding on to Kiara because she's one of my last two team members, and so I'm like hoping that I was like, oh my God, she's not gonna do a good snatch game. She better do a good runway because she's on the chopping block for sure, you know. And so
she did a fantastic runway. I loved her look. Maybe the pony was a little messy, and I wish she took care of that a little bit more, but what she was wearing was one of the best things I've seen Kiara wear on the show, bar none.
Yeah, I agree.
Accurate too. Accurate.
So we have a night of 1,000 Celines, which I think is a great, Canadian icon to be able to do some fashion trends about. She has obviously some iconic looks. Jojo, since you just started talking, so you enjoyed Kiara's look. Who other looks did you like?
Who did I like? I thought Jimbo looked incredible. I liked that her jumpsuit wasn't the exact fabric that was used for Celine's look. But what kind of made me go, was the fact that so many of these looks were from 2019. Really recent looks of Celine, when you could do the backwards tuxedo that was iconic, the white hat with the white blazer at the Oscars that year. I was just surprised that there was so many current Celine looks and not something a little earlier on.
What do you think about the looks? Was there one that stood out as your favorite, or one that you really didn't like? What do you think of Rita's look? She went for okay, Jojo's face says it all, but went for a younger Celine before she was famous, basically. Did you like Rita's look?
For me, I think that the person who gave me the Celine that I would have needed and wanted was actually Priyanka, because I think that she gave me one of her more iconic fashion moments, which was her wedding dress.
Yeah.
And I found with the runway itself is that they were pulling obscure reference points for a lot of them, which I felt was a little bit odd. Nobody really pulled anything from her Vegas shows, which are usually really over the top costumes. Nobody did the billboard one with the huge massive sleeves where it looked like she's the iceberg from Titanic. And even the hair on some of them, I was kind of puzzled. I think that in Lemon's case, I think that her runway ultimately did kind of let her down, because yes, that look is iconic, but the hair was giving me Queen Elizabeth, which didn't work. And the body was right, but it's that dress translates as plain, especially in comparison to again, Priyanka coming out in a giant wedding gown, and then Rita doing a reveal, and then Jimbo's look being sequined. It just, I think that's kind of how that played out.
Totally agreed with Priyanka. When she came out in the wedding dress, I wrote down, I'm like, okay, she might have saved herself here. That's what I wrote down. And so I definitely thought that the wedding dress was epic. Pez, you looked like you had something to add.
No, I just meant Tay, maybe you know this, but do you know who made that? Who made that wedding dress? Do you think Jeff Christensen?
I think it was Jeff. I'm not sure, but I think it might have been Jeffrey Christensen.
Yeah, so Jeff is he is a local drag queen that is also a seamstress as well. I've known Jeff for years, so I've just been seeing a lot of posts of who's been making these outfits for Pri, and I might reach out to Jeff and just be like, Jeff, if you're watching this, you did a great job, bud. I think that look was amazing, and I thought that when she did the reveal, I feel like she did that. She embodied Celine, just the way she comes off, and so just
goofy.
Yeah, goofy. Yeah, I love. Have you ever seen Celine Dion in the carpool thing with?
Yes.
Actually,
Of course.
I that one, but
It's good.
She's so weird. I love her. So fucking weird.
I also loved I loved Boa's look. I loved her headpiece.
Mhm.
And they're obviously, like, we all are going to be in agreement on this with too much fringe. If there was a little less fringe, we actually got to see her body. Maybe if the fringe like wasn't like a poncho, that might have been a better look, because I do think that look is iconic.
Yeah.
What I didn't like was Elona's look. I thought it was totally off. I didn't get the pink hair. I get that Elona's like a monochromatic pastel queen. It just didn't make sense to me. It didn't read Celine at all.
Yeah,
Not even a little
I was
bit.
just like re-looking at the image. I'm like, I don't even remember what Elona wore. And then I looked, I was like, oh, she just looked like she was doing a runway. It did not scream Celine at all. Like, you know, we didn't necessarily like Rita Vega's look, but I thought that it did scream Celine with like, especially when you saw like the split screen. And so, yeah, Elona's just like, ooh, that was a miss.
Bobo looked expensive.
She worked.
Oh,
Like,
I know.
that dress was, even like her hair was gorgeous. Her face is always gorgeous, but I love what she did with her makeup. The duvet dress, perfect. I loved her look too.
Bobo's mannerisms were pretty Celine. Like, you're saying that she has some, you know, Celine. I can't do her. Actually, I don't know Celine like in my body, but like she does have a specific way that she moves. It's very Celine.
Kind of like Elvis too. She's very Elvis. She's
And
like, oh, I'm an Elvis impersonator.
Stiff staccato kind of. But she does. That would have been something that everybody should have worked on in order to bring out Celine on that runway. It wasn't just about the look. Celine, her body and mannerisms are part of her iconicness. And so I was impressed with Scarlett. Really embodied her a little bit more than some other people did. So I liked them on the runway. So when they went to the back room, we got like a mini Untucked where they were sleeping. So the two safe queens were Scarlett and Elona. And Jojo, you were saying that you didn't agree with who was on the bottom. Like, what you want to explain?
Oh yeah, I felt I agreed with who was safe. That made sense to me. Even Elona, like, we didn't get to see. I watched that Untucked clip too, the 3-minute long. I wish we had an Untucked. It makes me really sad that we don't. So it made sense to me that they were safe, but I don't agree with the bottom two. I think they did it kind of for dramatic purposes, that they wanted a really strong lip sync. I think they kind of knew that Kiara was going to go home. Oh, spoiler! I don't know if I should have said that yet.
Yeah, we're almost there.
I'm saying it. Excuse me. I think they wanted that. They wanted like two sexy, athletic dance-off queens who were going to give it. I thought Boa should have been in the bottom, and I don't want to see Boa in the bottom, but I felt like when it came to the runway and the performance, I would have put Boa in the bottom, along with Kiara.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, I just want to say something about the sleeping. I want to talk about the sleeping first.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, now there's a choice. They could have put the Untucked clip of them talking, and I loved listening to the two of them talk about how, so if anybody's never seen it, there's this Untucked moment, it just got released. It's Elona and Scarlett, and they're talking about how Scarlett can step up and not be so safe all the time. And Elona's telling her, you know, you're not doing anything life-changing. You're not doing anything like this. And Bo was like, well, what about my hair? What about, she goes, it's not life-changing. Like, it's not like, it's not gonna, it's like, you look great. You look great, but why would they show the two of them sleeping? So this is where I kind of like have this like weird thought that like, I didn't like how they portrayed that. I would rather have watched them have that conversation than have them sleeping. I like the fact that they walked in and they were sleeping. I thought that
I think that's what it was. Like, I don't think it was malicious.
No.
Trying to edit it poorly.
It kind of paints Bobo and Elona in kind of a shitty way, I find, because it to put them that they're sleeping, it's very like it kind of goes with the editing of no wonder you're safe if you guys are sleeping.
Well, that's I think what they're alluding to with
yeah.
that.
Okay, that's just like, yeah. I just would rather have seen. the
I
conversation.
mean, I get where you're coming from, but I think from an editor's perspective, it's kind of like, why am I safe? Why am I safe? Why am I safe? And you know, and then why are you also sleeping when?
That's what I mean.
So
Yeah.
it follows the narrative of what they've been talking about within the show. But I can see where your point is that they have other things that they could have shown as well. Tay, did it bother you that they were sleeping or that they showed it?
No, I thought it was just a gag because I'm here thinking, oh Jesus, you know, they've probably been on that runway for God knows how many hours. They're probably exhausted. They're probably getting no sleep whatsoever. And I'm like, of course my mother's napping. Of course. Not on the runway getting critiques. What else is she supposed to do? I thought it was cute.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, I can see it as being cute as well. But yes,
If
see all sides.
And if it's so cold inside that set,
It is.
I would have
People
fallen
don't
asleep.
realize.
So yeah,
Oh my
like, I
God.
would fall- when it's freezing cold, I don't mind being a little cozy in my little falling
Yeah,
asleep.
pretty little snuggly, little snuggle up. So what was I gonna say? Yeah, so I put the bottom two. So you thought it should have been Boa. Now I was actually really upset. I know that I've said this in probably every episode that we've talked about so far, but you know, the hashtag Black Lives Matter movement hadn't happened yet. And so having, you know, an obvious just recognition of how the Black queens or the queens of color have been kind of eliminated, all of them, like one after the other, after the other, after the other, with respect to Juice Box going second, every other queen that's been eliminated has been of color. And so I was really upset in this moment that no matter what, a queen of color was going to be going home. And it did bother me a little bit because we started off with so much diversity that, you know, right now, just Elona, not just, but Elona and Priyanka are only the two representing any sort of color within Canada. Did this cross any of your minds, like while you were watching this bottom two, Jojo?
Yeah, 100%. I don't think they can construct a show. How do I want to say this? I feel like they knew what they were doing, putting the two of these girls together, but I do think it's because they would have been the best entertainment for the audience to watch the lip sync. I don't think it was a malicious thing, but they're so similar. They're both dancing queens. They're both gorgeous. They're both going to serve it. I just don't think they should have been the bottom two based on their runway or based on their maxi challenge.
See,
so I do base it on their performance.
A little bit, like I can see that point, but I do feel as though the competition really enjoys having Boa being a part of it, and knowing that Kiara is a better dancer than Boa, well, like, you know, training wise, that they were worried that they would be forced to send Boa home because she wouldn't maybe be able to perform in the lip sync. And
but
so
how funny would that
sorry?
be? I would think Boa would be really funny driving all night. She drove all night. She's exhausted. She's riding it.
But I think
she
it
could
was
make anything of it.
I think that they wanted to save Boa more than potentially saving Priyanka. You know what I mean? And so I'm kind of a little bit disappointed in, I didn't agree with all the different eliminations. Yes, I agree with this week, spoiler alert, Kiara going home, but I don't think how the people have been eliminated have been necessarily the right choice. Yeah, I think that's close skated by. You say you agree, Tay? How are you feeling?
Yeah, I in preparation for today, you know, I was kind of thinking back on some of the previous nights and just even with what's said here regarding you know, the show wanting to put out a lip sync that is really entertaining, that's high energy, whatever. They could have done that last week. Actually, they could have done that last week, and they could have put Lemon and Priyanka against each other. There's two dancers, and doing so would mean we would also still have Tainomi around. Doing so would probably still mean we'd have Priyanka around and Kiara around. I did disagree with the bottom two this week, obviously, because regardless of how Priyanka did in the maxi challenge, her runway should have saved her because it was one of the strongest of the night, and it didn't, and it was a little surprising, and I thought we were going to get a double save, actually. That I thought we were pretty evenly matched, and I don't think that it within the realm of possibility that Boa would have turned out a great lip sync, because she can, if she wants to be funny, especially for Celine. You have to turn out the humor for a Celine song, any Celine song. We need something in that to make us laugh, because if you see Celine live, she's just nuts.
Yeah.
And that's what
And
we
she is
need.
funny.
We need to see that. We need to see humor, and Boa would have excelled at that, and we would have actually gotten probably two competing things. We would have gotten the stunts, and then we would have gotten the humor. But don't count Boa out on the stunt. Even though she walked in and said, I splits, dips, all that stuff, I don't do it. She can do a high kick, and she can almost do a split. So she could have done something. Trust.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to discredit her, but I think that they just didn't want to risk having to send her home. I feel like they were more so saving Boa because they enjoy having her in the competition more than they cared about either Kiara or Priyanka. I did feel like it was going to be a double save as well, but I think that what lost it for Kiara was that in the end, she seemed to get a little bit messy and a little bit desperate. And she lost like the precision and like the fierceness and like the determination. I think it got just sloppy and messy and desperate and like, I'll do anything to stay. And it was just too messy for them to not award that. Like, they didn't want to reward that kind of desperation, in my opinion. Kind words. Jojo, you were gonna say something?
I actually never thought Priyanka was in danger at all.
I was shocked. That
I think the fact that they put her on the bottom too, I was like, it's Kiara's going. There's no way. But it also reminded me of Brooklyn's episode of Snatch Game. She killed the runway. She was still put in the bottom too against Evie, and we had the double save. I don't necessarily think Kiara or Priyanka are better dancers than Evie or Brooklyn were, but they were just as entertaining with the song. And I do think that Pri kind of, I think she kind of got the heart of the song. Like, she gave it to you straight. She was standing still. She was delivering it, and then she would give you some tricks, and then would be dancing. I just felt she had a better story with the song and told it better. But I also love Kiara. I thought Kiara did a great job. So it would have been a worthy double save.
As you have words.
Yeah, I think that Kiara was a little. Yeah, I agree that Kiara was a little messy. I think that she was just pulling out everything, and Priyanka embodied the song. And there was times where she would get down, but Stacey was just living for it. I think that her holding Brooklyn's hand, and then I knew they were just watching Priyanka, and they were like, because Jeffrey was going like this. He was watching both of them like this, but every time that Pri would just like stand there, because Pri has this iconic way of lip syncing where she just will stop and look to you and just do this thing, and it's engaging. And that's what I've always told, like, some drag queens feel like their feet have to do all these things. No, just fucking plant your feet and look at the shit out of that song.
Command the audience.
You know what you're singing. That's what I was like. But can I just say, one of your best performances that I've ever seen was when you did that Buffy party at the Drink, when you played Faith. You were phenomenal. That's what if I was to say any lip sync that you've done, that was awesome.
So fun. I want to see it now.
Yeah, me too.
I have it. I'll post it on Reality Realness.
Good. I'm gonna add Tay to Instagram now.
That's so fun. We didn't mention it flat out, but Jimbo did win that, this episode, and I thought it was well deserved. I thought that I loved his jumpsuit or her jumpsuit, and I also loved her snatch game. And so I think all well-rounded, like, she didn't fail in any element of this week, and so a well-deserved win. With Lemon's look, I love the look, but I do think, and I agree with the judges, that she just needs to do a little bit of padding, because when she came out, I was like, she looked too, in my opinion, boxy, and it just didn't allow the dress to sell itself. It just looked like it didn't work on her body type, and so I felt that she needed to maybe put some curves in there to make that dress sing a little bit more, and then maybe her she would have done better. But hopefully she's like learning. People are telling her you're not to start padding, because she hasn't been padding at all, and I think that that's what's hurting her looks. is because the femininity is not there, and so she's not selling the vision, like the imagination of this character Lemon. It seems a little bit underwhelming, I'll say, when she puts a look together. So that's the end of the Snatch game. Definitely the best episode of the season so far. Tay, do you have any other thoughts that you want to mention about this episode, or anything about, Canada's Drag Race in general that you didn't get to say? Anything about you? Are you doing anything? Do you have any online performances, or any social distancing stage 3 events that you're hosting or whatnot?
I'm still waiting to see what the bars are doing. During like the first few months, I was still doing the show that we had weekly at Garage. We were still kind of doing it online, so I was doing it with Ruby Strange, and then every Friday I was doing a show with the Virgo Queen. We actually had a trial set up for a show that was going to be at Woody's, but then COVID hit and we were like, but yeah, now I'm just waiting to see. I'm like, are these places going to start installing the plexiglass? I've seen the performances at the drink so far, and I was watching Jada's story, and I go, do you feel like you're in an aquarium? And she's like, uh-huh. So, I want to be a fish in one of those aquariums, because the plexiglass looks fun. It's going to encourage people not to get in my personal space.
And you look like little Barbie dolls in in your boxes. I think it would be kind of fun.
Yes.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. Do Barbie girl in that box. Great.
You can have it. Go take it. Take it. Okay, so what are maybe your social handles? Where can people find you online if they want to follow you and see what you are up to?
I am both on Twitter and Instagram. I am Tay Bobo Queen, and that's Queen like Elizabeth, not like Hey Queen.
Okay, perfect. Jojo, do you have a handle that people can find you?
Oh, I think it's just Joseph O'Toole, or Jojo O'Toole, or O'Toole Joe. Just a combination of things.
Right, they'll be looking hard enough.
If you want to look me up, folks, go for it. Probably pretty easy.
And Pez, do you have any social handles you'd like to
You can find me on Twitter at MichaelPez1. You can find me on Instagram at Michael Pez, and there's some things coming up, so stay tuned. Yeah, I got some fun little projects that I'm working on. So and also the signature cocktail that I'll be putting up today will be the Bobo Sangria, because the Bobo Sangria now represents Tay Bobo, as well as Scarlet Bobo. And Scarlet Bobo has another one called the Bobo Smash, which is made with gin, and it's gin and basil, little grapefruit juice, and just soda, and it's just perfect. So if you want to have the Tay Bobo cocktail, you can go to the Drink on Church Street and it's boozy. It's the one that has the most booze in it, and it's the same. It has black currant in it. It has white wine. It has Northern Temple vodka. And it has just a little bit of soda. I had one the other day, and the server was like, who was Bobo's sister, was serving us, and I was like, she's like, have another one of these things, and they're like, I'm like, I can't have more than just one of these Bobo sangrias. Fucking potent. So that's my goal.
Yeah, after we were completely released, we need to do a taste test of all the cocktails. That'd be super fun.
I got you. And if you ever want to do a little online thing like we've been talking about making the sangria, let's do it.
Sweet. So you can find me at ShanFranFran, and all my other social media handles you can find in the link in the bio. You can find all of us somehow on Reality Realness with 3 S's. Make sure that if you haven't already, please subscribe right down below. Hit that like button, ring that bell so every time we have a new episode, you will be notified so you can hang out with us and talk about all things reality television. Tay, thank you so much for joining us. You were amazing. I love getting to know you. I love that we're kind of wearing something similar with some navy crochet up in here. And yes, I can't wait to speak to you again soon. So everybody have a great day.
Bye, guys.
Love y'all. Love y'all. All right, to leave. Bye.